So we're doing this Giannis thing again where the Bucks and Giannis and his agent discuss his future, and then they come back and say, I just want to be in Milwaukee. But maybe this time is a little bit different because Giannis has never been in a situation where he's on a losing team. But I do think it's important to note that they're only a losing team because Giannis was out. They were kind of fine before that, but we all know this team is not a championship worthy team and don't look to be building toward that unless you believe that Ryan Rollins is going to be the next All NBA point guard. And who knows, maybe he will. But we all seen the writing on the wall here. And a couple days ago, I dropped a video about the Miami Heat. And I don't want to say people were mad at me, but it was one of my more disliked videos, and I'm not going to act like I don't understand why. But my point in that video was the Miami Heat seem to be kind of a middling team that's going nowhere. Even though they are a good team, their future doesn't really seem to have a direction, right? In that video, I pointed out how Norman Powell is on a one-year deal at this point. He's going to need to be extended. Bam Adebayo goes from $37 million to $50 million next year. Andrew Wiggins has 2 more years on his deal. Davion Mitchell has 2 years on his deal. Like, they don't have anything long-term besides their young players and Kel'el Ware and Tyler Hero. Obviously, they have other young talent, but those would be the main 2. And when I was making that video, I was more in the mindset of trading Bam because Bam is older. You do have Tyler Hero, Jovic, Jaquez, Kel'el Ware. Maybe you should look toward building toward the future right now, instead of paying Bam Adebayo max money to be a mediocre team. We all know Bam Adebayo needs to be in a situation where he is clearly the second best player, if not the third best player. But in that video, I kind of overlooked the possibility of that happening in Miami, because when you think of Tyler Hero, we all know his trade value around the league is probably not commensurate to his actual talent, right? You're not going to trade Tyler Hero and get more production than Tyler Hero. It's really not out there. But if you package Tyler Hero and Kel'el Ware and you get to keep Bam and get a player better than Bam, you might be cooking with something there because you still have Norman Powell. But what makes it difficult, especially if you're making this move to go all in, is you might have to give up Andrew Wiggins because Tyler Hero and Kel'el Ware is not enough money to get to Giannis. But maybe you could do a deal where you make it a 3-team deal and you send Andrew Wiggins somewhere where you're losing that trade, Wiggins for whoever, but maybe you can get a reasonable facsimile of that in a 3-team deal. I will probably have some examples on the screen. So when I look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I try to think of like, what's the best young player they could get in a Giannis deal? And how high is Kel'el Ware on that list? And hypothetically, if you could get Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware, and 2 first-round picks for Giannis, depending on how you feel about Kel'el Ware, that might be a very, very good trade package where you look around the league, what young assets do these other teams have? We know the teams that are going to come up. The Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Knicks. Other teams will come up for sure, but those will be the main teams. There was the report that Giannis would like to go to New York. I don't see the Bucks wanting Cat really, but Kel'el Ware is one of the most valuable young players in the NBA right now in terms of a trade package. And if you could get that and Tyler Hero and picks, I don't know who's beating that that's realistic, right? Nobody has the young asset of a Kel'el Ware with picks and another all-star to give the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't see it out there. And we got to keep in mind that a lot of the teams that would maybe make a move for Giannis aren't going to do it because Giannis might not want to be there. He might not stay there. The Grizzlies, they got a bunch of picks. In theory, they could trade Ja Morant and 5 first-round picks, but Giannis isn't going to stay in Memphis. At least that's what I would be thinking if I was the Grizzlies. I wouldn't be making that much of an investment to someone that didn't want to be here. So I think the list is actually very, very short. This summer, I was saying how the Atlanta Hawks were my sleeper team, but at that time, I was thinking of pairing Trae Young with Giannis. Now Jalen Johnson's playing so well that I probably wouldn't trade Jalen Johnson and other stuff to go get Giannis. And if I'm Milwaukee, I don't really want Trae Young in that way. I'd rather have Tyler Hero and Kel'el Ware than Trae Young. So maybe there's some trade out there that I'm not thinking about. Maybe there's some young star player that's available that I'm not thinking about. But I think Miami can offer the best deal for Giannis. I do. And there's only one other team. And again, it depends on how you feel about this player. But is there something around Evan Mobley? Is there something around Evan Mobley, pair Giannis with Donovan Mitchell? That's maybe immediately the best duo in the NBA. Still have Darius Garland. They don't have a lot on the wings, but they already don't have a lot on the wings. So maybe if, you know, people are still in love with Evan Mobley, still think Evan Mobley's gonna be this all-NBA top 10 player in the league, if you still have hope that he can be that, maybe that would be the best young player you could possibly get in a Giannis deal. So I could see that happening. But besides that, tell me the young player on the level of an Evan Mobley that they can get for Giannis. I don't really see it out there. And pair that again, Kel'el Ware, which is really the key thing in the trade, right? You get Kel'el Ware, that's the main thing. But you also get an all-star in Tyler Hero, and you also get draft picks. Let me know the better deal. You also get the added bonus that Tyler Hero is from Wisconsin. I don't know if he's from Milwaukee, but I know he's from Wisconsin. And then on the other side, I don't know how Bam and Giannis would fit together. I don't think it would be a great fit, but I think that would be a crazy defensive front court. And you still got Norman Powell, you still got Davion Mitchell, you still got Jaime Jaquez. And to me, that makes everything else make a little bit more sense, right? It doesn't make sense to be paying Bam Adebayo $55 million to be a middling team. It doesn't make sense to pay Norman Powell $40 million a year to be a middling team. It doesn't make sense to give Andrew Wiggins an extension to be a middling team. Like, it just, to me now, that wouldn't like make sense. We're going all in, we're trying to win right now. As opposed to hoping that Bam Adebayo at 29 years old becomes a different level of an offensive player. Go get Giannis, you have your number one. You have your number two offensively really in Norman Powell. And Bam could be your third best offensive player, which is probably the best role for Bam, and be amazing on defense. Be amazing on defense with Giannis, and then going into next year, you would still have moves you could make. You would still have Jovic, you would still have Jaquez, you still have Jonas. Hell, I'm not even saying this would be the plan, but you could move Bam. Like, I'm just saying, if you have Giannis, you could possibly move Bam. So just at first glance, and maybe it's because I just made the video about the Miami Heat, I do think Kel'el Ware, Tyler Hero, first round picks is a deal that will not be beaten. But it also depends on whether or how loyal the Bucks want to be to Giannis, right? If Giannis says, I'm only going here, maybe the Bucks just give him what he wants, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to take the best deal, as they should. And the quiet part is the Bucks should actually want to be doing this as well. But again, let me know in the comments what player out there that I'm not thinking about, right? Like, I don't think Amin Thompson is available. I don't think Chet Holmgren is available. So I don't know. And like I said, the big hang up here for the Heat would be the fact that you have to trade Wiggins. So here are the couple Wiggins deals I came up with. One is Wiggins to the Bulls, and you get Kevin Huerter. You get Giannis and Kevin Huerter, and again, Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware to Milwaukee. Another one is with the Spurs. Once again, Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware go to Milwaukee. The Spurs get Andrew Wiggins, and you get Harrison Barnes in return. And then the Spurs would have to include like a Lindy Waters or Bismack Biyombo and trade them to Milwaukee. I put Champagnie here just to get the success on the screen, but I wouldn't trade Champagnie in this deal. And also, you can't trade the other guys until December 15th, so that's why I didn't put them up there. And then the last one is the Sacramento Kings, where Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware, and Simone Fontecchio go to Milwaukee. Andrew Wiggins goes to the Kings, and the Heat get Giannis, Malik Monk, and Keon Ellis. Now, is that good enough? Is Keon Ellis big enough to play that defensive role on the wing? Probably not. Do the Heat want Malik Monk? I don't know, but maybe they flip him. I don't know, but that's a good value deal there for Wiggins. But just in terms of value, this would probably be my favorite one, but I would want a bigger wing on the perimeter, and you're losing one of those in Fontecchio. But again, to me, the Heat make the most sense here, but it's probably not going to be the Heat. By the time I post this video, we're probably going to hear that he's going to the Knicks or something, but these are just my thoughts on the situation. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please like, comment, subscribe. It will mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.